NaNoWriMo is almost here. If you've been putting off the preparations, don't worry. I've got 10 last-minute tips for you to make sure NaNoWriMo is as great as it should be. Hey, welcome back. It's Megan. I'm your writing coach for today. If you're starting Nano and you want some sprints, want some motivation, want some tips throughout the month of November, definitely subscribe. I'd love to cheer you on as you take on the challenge. But today I'm bringing you a last-minute pep talk. We are in the locker room. The big game is about to start, and we need a little bit of last-minute motivation.
You to visualize and then attack. Can you handle that?
I tried.
Just gonna try.
So I got you with 10 tips. You ready? Tip number 1. This is for those of you who are pantsers or who have not put together an outline yet. Jot down a quick 3-point outline. This does not have to be detailed. Where's your story going to start? What's going to be the turning point? And where's your story going to end? That's it. Just 3 points just to give your mind a little bit of a frame as you take on NaNoWriMo. Second tip, write down your premise somewhere where you can read it every day. If you don't have a premise, I'm not sure how you're going to write a novel in a month. I'm sorry. But it's true. You need a premise. You need to know what your story is about unless you want it to just be kind of a journey of discovery during November, which is totally cool as well. If you want to write a complete novel or something that could turn into a complete novel, and you don't want to have millions and millions and millions of revisions to do, set yourself up for success by writing down a premise. I like to think of a premise as one simple sentence that describes where my story starts, where it goes, and where it's going to end up, just like my 3-point outline. So really, it's what your character is going to learn. But if you want to know how to make a premise, I've made a video on that you should check out. That's tip number 2. Write your premise down. Keep it somewhere where you can see it. Tip number 3 is similar. Write down your goal for Nano and put that somewhere where you can see it, maybe next to your premise. I highly suggest that writers create a goal for NaNoWriMo. Yes, there's an overarching goal with Nano of writing 50,000 words in a month, but sometimes it's helpful to have a sub-goal underneath that. Like for your personal project, what's your goal? Do you want to write a complete story during the month? Do you want to write the 50,000 words? Maybe you actually want to write 100,000 words. I don't know. Another way of looking at this is writing down your why. Why are you doing NaNoWriMo? Maybe you've never written a full novel before and you're like, this is the month, this is the time I'm going to do it. Maybe you've been putting off writing about an idea that you had a while ago and now is the time where you're going to step into that. Whatever your why is for Nano, write it down somewhere where you can see it every day. Tip number 4, this is something for those of us who are busy doing other things and aren't doing Nano full time, which is most of us, right? We've got work, we've got school, we've got families. As you're going through your day, keep a little notebook with you that's dedicated to your Nano ideas. Now, I know we can all write these things down in our phones, but there are 2 reasons why I think it's helpful to actually physically write it down in a notebook. Number 1, having a distinct notebook set aside just for Nano will keep your ideas organized and in their own place. You won't be adding notes to your phone one day and then adding notes to your journal the next day and then adding notes to your planner or writing them on the magnet board on your fridge. You'll have them all in one place. Second, physically writing things down, I think, and I'm pretty sure there's science behind this, but I could be wrong, but physically writing things really just helps you kind of remember it better. And hey, who knows, maybe when you're on your lunch break and you're like, I have a great idea, I'm gonna write that down, that could end up getting into a scene, and then who knows, maybe before you know it, you've got 500 words written down. You don't know. So that's my next tip for you. Keep a little notebook with you. It'll be just like your special little Nano notebook. I don't know, doesn't that sound fun? I would do that. All right, tip number 5, print out some inspirational quotes or photos and put those up as well. I know that many of these tips now have been about putting things up that'll inspire you, but I really think it's important as you take on such a big challenge of trying to write a novel in 30 days, having things around you that can inspire you will really make it more fun. I know for me, I love quotes from other writers. I have a picture of me as a little kid, like sitting at our big chunky desktop writing. Whatever it is that you look at and you go, oh, that makes me want to keep writing, put it on a little mood board for yourself. Tip number 6, as you're there creating your mood board, clean off your workspace. It's so much more motivating and inspiring to work in a space that is clean and clear of clutter. If you don't believe me, there are actually studies that prove that your mind functions better when the space is clean around you. So, I mean, I'm just saying, before Nano starts, it's a really good idea to clean off your space and just get it looking really fresh and really ready to be used. And then tip number 7, connect with the people around you who you know are going to support you through this challenge and remind them that it's about to start. Your immediate family might already know about it because you've been talking about it nonstop for days or maybe even weeks. But who's going to support you during this challenge? Who are you going to go to on days when you're like, I just don't want to write this anymore, or I don't know what to write about, or I just can't figure out another word to put down on this page to reach the daily word count goal? Who are you going to reach out to be your cheerleader? If you need an extra cheerleader during the challenge, that's what I'm here for. I'm a writing coach. All right, now let's head back to the other room for our last few tips. All right, a few more tips before we wrap up for the day. Tip number 8, try to write more in the early days of Nano. That's when you're gonna have the most energy, the most motivation, and maybe the most inspiration. But when you're still riding that train of excitement for the challenge, try to get in more words if you can. Plus, if you live in America, once Thanksgiving rolls around, it's going to be a little bit hectic, so the more you can write up front in the early days of the challenge, the better. That being said, tip number 9, if you do get behind, don't panic. It's happened to all of us. Everyone gets behind at some point in Nano, especially if you have other things going on. I'm going to share a little secret with you of what you can do if you fall behind. It's really tempting to think, okay, I've fallen behind, now I have to write an extra 1,667 words today. And you can do that if you've got the time and you want to, awesome. Or you can take the total number of words you have left and spread it out over a few days. Let's say you fell behind by 1,000 words. Instead of trying to fit that full extra 1,000 words in one day, you could write 200 extra words for the next 5 days. Does that make sense? So that can be one way if you do fall behind, not to put extra stress on yourself that you have to double your word count essentially for the next day. And then finally, my 10th and last tip for you as you get ready to start Nano is try not to skip any days. It can be really tempting, especially with the holidays coming around, to skip a day entirely and say, okay, it's fine, I can make up the words on another day. But I would say really try hard not to skip any days. Even if you only write 100 words on a day, or 200, or 500, or 10, it's better than nothing. Trust me, you'll be thankful that you did that once you get closer to the end of the month. All right, so that's what I've got for you today. Just 10 quick last-minute tips for those of you who are getting ready to start NaNoWriMo. I'm so excited for you. It's such a fun challenge and really creative and such a great time to come together with the writing community. So I wish you all the best. Keep me updated. Let me know your day 1 word count. Stay tuned for some Nano writing sprints throughout the month, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.